In June 2024, Spirit Energy was chosen by Tesla to install the first Tesla Powerwall 3 in the UK. We also had input into the design and specification of Powerwall 3 as well. For over 10 years, Tesla Powerwall has been one of the best, if not the best, home battery system on the market. The latest Powerwall 3 is no exception. It has a revolutionary hybrid inverter with a very versatile MPPT voltage range, as well as 11.04 kilowatts of continuous power output. Powerwall 3 is also easy to expand, and the whole system comes standard with full house power cut protection, as well as Tesla's industry-leading active thermal management system. All of these features are supported by a sleek, easy-to-use app, an industry-leading BMS algorithm, and one of the most comprehensive warranties in the industry. Packaged together, the Powerwall 3 is a great value product. So what exactly do you get if you install a Tesla Powerwall 3? And what do you need to know if you're looking to get one fitted? In this video, I'm going to go through absolutely everything that you need to know about Tesla Powerwall 3. To start with, Tesla Powerwall 3 is a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery system. It's only available in one size, 13.5 kilowatt hours. Now technically, the Powerwall 3 is a 15 kilowatt hour battery unit. That's its nominal capacity. However, for the purposes of keeping things simple, Tesla only talk about its usable capacity, which is 13.5 kilowatt hours. That 1.5 kilowatt hour 10% storage margin that can't be cycled is one of the reasons that the Powerwall 3 has such a great industry-leading warranty, which I'll come on to later. The battery technology in Powerwall 3 is lithium ferrophosphate, which is considered to be an improvement on Powerwall 2, which is nickel manganese cobalt. LFP is considered to be safer, more sustainable and longer lasting than NMC. The battery can charge at a rate of 5 kilowatts, meaning that it'll take 2 hours 42 minutes to fully charge up from 0%. Something that I get asked a lot is whether the charge rate is different if your solar system is generating, and the answer to that is no. It doesn't matter where the energy is coming from, the battery can only charge at a rate of 5 kilowatts. Up to 4 Powerwall 3 units can be installed on a single-phase supply, or 3 units on a 3-phase supply, 1 per phase. I'll talk more about Powerwall 3's 3-phase functionality further into the video. If you want to increase the storage, but don't want to add on a whole other Powerwall 3, then you can add on a Powerwall 3 DC expansion pack. The main difference to the expansion pack is that it doesn't have the inverter and electrical connections built in. Physically, the DC expansion packs are also pretty much identical to the main Powerwall 3s. The only difference is that the expansion pack is 25mm thinner and weighs about 13.5 kilograms less than the main Powerwall. Up to 3 expansion packs can be added on per Powerwall 3, meaning that if you have one battery, you'll be able to increase your total storage up to 54 kilowatt hours. If you go the whole hog and have 4 Powerwall 3 units, then that means you can have 216 kilowatt hours of storage in total. If you add a DC expansion pack onto your Powerwall 3, then the maximum charge rate does increase up to 8 kilowatts. So with 1 Powerwall 3 and 1 expansion pack, the combined system can charge at 8 kilowatts, with the charge distributed evenly across the entire system. The main unit and any expansion packs will charge in sync. However, the charge rate doesn't scale beyond this. Even if you add 2 or 3 expansion packs, the maximum charge rate remains capped at 8 kilowatts. This could be a consideration for those looking at larger systems. For example, a Powerwall 3 with 3 expansion packs gives you 54 kilowatt hours of total storage. Charging from 0% to 100% at 8 kilowatts would take around 6 hours and 45 minutes. That's longer than many of the current off-peak tariff windows allow, meaning that you might not be able to fully charge the system during the off-peak window. That said, this is a rare edge case, and in reality 99% of Powerwall users, even those with 3 expansion packs, will never encounter this as an issue. You're very unlikely to be charging from 0%, especially if you set a reserve capacity for backup use. Most users will set this reserve between 10 and 20%, meaning that the battery will never fully deplete in the first place. There are 2 ways to install the Powerwall 3 expansion packs. Your first option is to stack them behind the main Powerwall 3 unit, as you can see on screen now. Alternatively, the expansion packs can be mounted adjacent to the main Powerwall 3. In this case, the expansion packs would get their own frosted glass panel to fit on the front and give them the same finish as the main unit. If you do want to stack them, then you need to make sure that the whole system is floor supported. You can't install the main Powerwall 3 above ground and then put an expansion pack behind it, as the wall bracket is not strong enough to hold both at once. Something important to note is that the main Powerwall 3 always needs to be at the front of the stack. That means that if you have an existing Powerwall 3 installed and want to retrofit an expansion pack, then I'd probably recommend installing the DC expansion adjacent to the main Powerwall 3. If you choose to stack the batteries, then your installer will likely need to disconnect the existing wiring and potentially extend the cabling in order to move the main Powerwall 17 centimeters forward to allow for the expansion pack to be fitted behind. All of this takes time, and it will cost more to stack a Powerwall 3 expansion pack if you're looking to retrofit one to an existing Powerwall system. Tesla also advised that the main Powerwall 3 is allowed 30 centimeters of free space in front of it for airflow and cooling purposes. So that's also something to consider if you're going to squeeze a battery pack behind it. If you do stack the batteries, then you obviously won't need to pay for the frosted glass pane that you'd buy if it was going to be mounted adjacent on the wall. To connect a Powerwall 3 to a DC expansion pack is very simple, as Tesla has built all the connections into one cable. This cable comes in lengths of 0.5 meter, 2 meters and 4 meters. You can't link the DC connection cables together either, so the maximum distance between the batteries is about 3.5 meters. That's because the 4 meter cable won't actually give you 4 meters of distance. If you're getting multiple expansion packs, then they connect up with cable links either side, as you can see on screen. When the head of residential energy at Tesla, Colby Hastings, came over from the Tesla HQ to get input as to what specs we'd like to see in the new Powerwall 3, one of the things that we discussed was the battery size, and we did ask why it's only going to be available in one size, 13.5 kilowatt hours, for both the main unit and the expansion packs. The answer was that from the research Tesla has done, 13.5 kilowatt hours is optimally sized for most households. The data does support this. Most households use between 4,000 and 6,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year, which works out to be between 10 and 15 kilowatt hours per day during the peak rate window of the electricity tariff. So the Powerwall 3 is pretty well sized for most households. That being said, there are a lot of situations where you need more than 13.5 kilowatt hours, but not as much as 27 kilowatt hours of storage, which is the next size up when you add on a second unit. So it would be nice to see Tesla develop smaller expansion units that bridge that gap. When I asked Tesla recently, they said they don't have any plans to roll out smaller battery packs for now, as going forward they see people needing bigger and bigger storage systems. Something very impressive about the Powerwall 3 is the inverter technology that's built into it. The Powerwall 3 has a hybrid inverter, meaning that the one inverter can deal with both the solar and the battery, so you don't need multiple inverters. On its release, the Powerwall 3's hybrid inverter was, and still is, one of the most advanced inverters built into a battery storage system. So what makes it so special? Well, to start with, it's an 11.04 kilowatt inverter. That means it can output 11.04 kilowatts to the house continuously. If the Powerwall 3 is fully charged and the house is drawing 11.04 kilowatts, it'll take 1 hour 12 minutes to fully drain the battery. The Powerwall 3 inverter does have a peak power output of up to 185 locked rotor amps, enabling it to provide a surge of power to support load startups. When an appliance with a motor, like a fridge, aircon or heat pump, switches on, it needs a quick surge of power to overcome inertia and get the motor spinning. During those first few milliseconds, the motor behaves like a short circuit, drawing a very large current, often 5 to 8 times higher than its normal running current. Powerwall 3 can support this by outputting up to 185 amps for a brief time period. That time period isn't specified by Tesla, however it's expected to be able to output more than its continuous 11.04 kilowatts for about 10 seconds to provide resilience during surge events. The Powerwall 3 inverter has 3 solar string inputs, or MPPTs, and can accept up to 20 kilowatts of solar DC input power. The American version of Powerwall 3 actually has 6 MPPTs, however Tesla felt that 3 was enough for the majority of households in the UK. Which is true, most houses don't really need more than 2 MPPTs and will usually end up leaving 1 spare for future solar system expansion. One of the really great features of the inverter is its MPPT input voltage range, or simply the number of panels that you can have on a string. The MPPT input voltage ranges from 60 volts to 550 volts. And with standard 470 or 480 watt panels like the ICO NeoStar, this typically means that you can have anywhere from 3 to 12 panels on one MPPT. There are some cases where you might want to put 2 panels on an MPPT. For example, if you have a smaller dormer or gable on the roof, in which case you'd want to use higher voltage panels such as the REC Alpha RX 470 watt panels from REC, which have a 60% higher voltage, to ensure that the MPPT's minimum startup voltage is hit, especially in lower light conditions in the winter. Another great feature about this inverter is that it can be downrated depending on your DNO restriction. With almost every other inverter system, the manufacturer will provide a range of different inverters, and you then pick the inverter that best matches your DNO restriction and solar system. So if you get allowed 8 kilowatts from the DNO, for example, then you'd pick an inverter from the range that is most suitably rated to that restriction. With the Tesla, however, it doesn't work like that. If for whatever reason you're not permitted to install the inverter at its full 11.04 kilowatt inverter rating, then it can be throttled down and set to any of 3.68, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 kilowatts without any of the hardware needing to be changed. A big advantage to Powerwall 3 is that because the inverter rating is set in the software instead of dictated by the built-in hardware, it can be remotely uprated down the line if your DNO offer increases. See our YouTube video talking about how to get a higher DNO rating to learn more about this. If you do get multiple Powerwalls installed on a single phase supply, then the inverters within the systems will need to be downrated to ensure that the total installed capacity stays within the 17 kilowatt G99 DNO limit. The Powerwalls must be set to the same rating across the board. So if you have 2 Powerwalls on a single phase supply, the highest rating that they can be set to is 8 kilowatt each. If you have 3 on a single phase supply, then the most they can be set to is 5 kilowatts each. The Powerwall 3 comes with full 100 amp power cut protection for a single phase supply as standard. This is as a result of the Tesla gateway. The gateway is a separate unit which sits between the meter and consumer unit and acts as an interface between the grid, house and the battery. On installation, the main incoming supply is routed through the gateway, and the gateway is then able to cut the line to and from the grid in the event of a power cut, thus islanding the house from the grid. The backup is not rated as a UPS, and the specified changeover time is up to 30 seconds. However, it's typically much quicker, and the changeover time usually depends on the type of power cut and how quickly the gateway can cut the line to the grid and take control of the load. For standard open circuit power cuts where there's a break in the grid line, the changeover time should be pretty much instant, and many of our clients say they only knew there had been a power cut because the app had notified them. All of the DC coupled solar will be kept running in a power cut, even if the kilowatt peak of the solar system is higher than the rating of the inverter. The Powerwall 3 can also keep up to 7 kilowatts of AC coupled solar running in a power cut. So any solar panels that are connected into a standalone inverter can be kept running in a power cut as well without any rewiring of the existing system required. Now at the moment, the Powerwall 3 cannot be installed without a gateway. However, Tesla has hinted that the functionality to allow the Powerwall 3 to be installed standalone with no gateway is in the pipeline. At the moment, the Tesla gateway also does not support 3-phase backup. So if you do have a 3-phase supply and you want backup, then you'll need to have a single-phase board separated out with only single-phase loads, and the gateway will provide power to that board in the event of a power cut. 3-phase power cut protection is also in the pipeline and is supposed to be released at the end of this year. There are 3 cables that need to be run from the Powerwall 3 to the gateway, an AC power cable and 2 communication cables. If you do have a gateway installed with power cut protection, your installer will also need to knock an earth rod into the ground if there isn't one at the house already. This is so that the system is earthed in the event of a power cut. If you're within 2 hours of Reading, please do get in touch with Spirit and our technical designers will provide you with a bespoke technical quotation tailored to your needs and designed to maximise your return from solar and battery storage. Alternatively, if you give us a call, you'll be put straight through to a technical specialist who will answer any questions that you have. Do check out the case study video series we put together, which takes you through a full Spirit installation from the initial inquiry to the design, survey and installation so that you can see exactly what to expect when you request a quote with us. Another key feature of the Powerwall 3 is the app. Now this is actually the same Tesla app that is used for the entire Tesla product lineup. The homepage of the app provides a clear visual representation of the state of charge of the battery and where the stored energy is being distributed, as well as what's being produced by the solar panels and where the solar generation is being used. If you have a Tesla wall connector or a Tesla vehicle, these will also appear within the app, giving you an integrated view of your entire home energy system. By navigating to the energy section, you gain access to a range of detailed performance graphs. These charts break down how much energy has been generated, how it has been used throughout the day, and how much has been imported from or exported to the grid. The app also calculates your home's level of grid independence, showing you how much of your energy needs are covered by the solar and battery storage rather than electricity from the grid. If you have a Tesla car, the app will also give you insights into how self-sufficient your vehicle is in terms of charging from solar rather than relying on the grid. If you're looking at getting a Powerwall, I'd recommend downloading the Tesla app and scrolling down to where it says Demo Powerwall and playing around with the app. You don't need a login to the Tesla app to try this out. You can just click Continue as Guest and you'll get to test out the entire app without restriction. The Tesla app updates live so that you can see exactly what's happening at any given moment. It also includes additional smart features such as Storm Watch, smart tariff integration with dynamic and intelligent tariffs, as well as off-grid mode. It also lets you set the minimum charge level to leave in reserve for a power cut. Tesla does also provide an API so that those that want to build custom monitoring software to communicate with the battery can do so. The API is limited in what it can do. For instance, Tesla won't let you do anything that would damage the Powerwall or compromise the warranty, but they will let you control it and monitor it via your own custom app. There's also a third-party app which takes advantage of the Powerwall API called Net Zero. Net Zero is for those that want to go one step further and get really into the weeds of monitoring the battery and maximizing the return on investment from the system. The app gives you access to things like string level data so that you can see how each individual MPPT is performing, as well as more detailed energy breakdowns and automatic adjustments to the latest tariffs. It's not at all essential for operating the battery, and those that just want to fit the system and forget about it don't need to worry about downloading Net Zero. However, if you do want to really maximize your return on investment and geek out on the data, as I do, then it's certainly worth looking into. The algorithm built into Powerwall 3 is also one of the best available. It's designed to learn about your usage and optimize your savings by charging and discharging accordingly. It'll look at weather patterns, your predicted solar generation, your house's recent electricity consumption data, as well as other factors to work out how much to off-peak charge and when to charge or discharge to ensure that you save the most over the course of the year. If you have a lucrative export rate where it's actually beneficial to export to the grid instead of storing for use in the house, Powerwall will figure this out automatically and discharge the battery accordingly to take advantage of that arbitrage situation. If you don't want to save as much money as possible and want to instead maximize your grid independency, the Powerwalls can be set to self-consumption mode, where they'll prioritize the on-site usage of your solar generation. This brings me on to some of the other key features of the Powerwall 3, the first of which is active thermal management. Both the main Powerwall 3 and the expansion packs come with Tesla's industry-leading thermal management technology built in, called active thermal management. Active thermal management is Tesla's intelligent liquid-based temperature regulation system designed to keep the battery operating within its ideal temperature range, regardless of the external conditions. It's a system of heat sensors, liquid coolant loops, heat exchangers and control algorithms that constantly monitor and manage the temperature of the battery cells. Unlike the passive systems in many other battery systems on the market, which rely on airflow or ambient temperatures, Tesla actively heats or cools the battery using a closed-loop liquid thermal circuit. Powerwall 3 uses this system to transfer heat away from battery cells when they get too hot and to distribute warmth when cells are too cold. This ensures that every cell in the pack stays within a narrow optimal temperature band. For lithium iron phosphate cells like those used in Powerwall 3, the ideal temperature range for optimal performance and longevity is generally between 15 and 30 degrees Celsius. Powerwall 3's active thermal management system is the same that is used in modern Tesla cars and is widely considered to be one of the best thermal management systems available. Many of the thermal management systems in other batteries just heat the battery cells using heating packs, they don't cool them as well. Battery charging becomes extremely restricted below 0 degrees, and this can cause issues if you have a battery installed outside that is supposed to be charging up off-peak, as if it's not got a good thermal management system and the temperature drops, then it won't be able to charge up overnight with cheap rate electricity. This isn't a worry with the Powerwall 3, as active thermal management will monitor weather forecasts, and if it sees that the temperature is going to drop overnight, then it will start to warm the cells so that they can still charge and discharge while the ambient temperature is below freezing. Another feature is Stormwatch. Stormwatch is a smart feature built into the Tesla Powerwall system that uses real-time weather data to automatically charge the battery to full capacity ahead of severe weather events. The goal is to ensure that the Powerwall is fully prepared to provide backup power during a potential grid outage. It was great to see this in action during the recent Storm Dara and Storm Eowyn. We were receiving reports of people getting alerted that their Powerwalls had detected a storm on the horizon and had started to force charge in anticipation of a power cut. The Powerwall 3's build quality is worth noting as well. Its chassis is full aluminium, giving it a noticeably superior build quality compared to many other battery systems on the market, which often use hard plastic or composite shells. The Powerwall 3 is IP67 rated, and the first 60 centimeters of the chassis is also laser welded. Tesla say that it is flood resistant up to 2 feet as a result of this. The Powerwall 3 measures 1105 by 609 by 193 millimeters and weighs 130 kilograms. The total weight when installed on a wall with the wall bracket is 132 kilograms. The expansion pack is 25 millimeters thinner at 1104 by 609 by 168 millimeters. It weighs in at 118.5 kilograms when fully installed with the wall bracket. Powerwall 3 has a round trip efficiency of 89%. That means that 89% of the energy that goes into the battery for storage is retrievable. It's important to note that the real-world efficiencies can vary based on factors such as installation specifics, environmental conditions, and usage patterns. Some users have reported experiencing round-trip efficiencies ranging from 85% to 93%. In addition to this, Powerwall 3 has a solar-to-home efficiency of 97.5%, meaning that 97.5% of the solar generated is effectively converted into usable electricity for your house or the grid. Superior round-trip efficiency is one of the big benefits of DC coupling, and is one of the reasons as to why we always try to use a DC-coupled string inverter instead of a microinverter or AC-coupled system when installing a solar system alongside a battery. If you choose to have an AC-coupled inverter, the current will have to be inverted 3 times, once when the electricity is generated, once when the electricity is stored, and finally when it's used in the house. That's inefficient, and the inverter losses do add up. Powerwall 3 does have an integrated DC isolator to disconnect the DC supply from the solar panels, although for the installation to be compliant with UK regs, your installer will still need to fit an external DC isolator for each string. The system comes with a wide array of connectivity options built in as standard, to minimise the chances of it disconnecting from the internet. Powerwall 3 can connect to both 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks. It can also be connected to the internet via an Ethernet cable and has cellular built in, although it's recommended to use this as a backup rather than the primary connection method. Something else that I want to talk about is Tesla Electric. Tesla Electric is Tesla's retail electricity provider. It's currently only in America, however Tesla has said that they'll be bringing Tesla Electric to the UK at some point soon. It was scheduled to come out to the UK in 2025, however it's more likely going to be 2026 or 2027. While Tesla Electric is going to be available to everyone, I would expect that there will be a few benefits for Powerwall customers. One of the most exciting benefits is something called Virtual Power Plant, or VPP. VPP allows Powerwall 3 owners to join a network of home batteries that collectively support the grid during peak demand. For the most part, on a day-to-day basis, the Powerwall will behave completely normally. However, if VPP is enabled and there's a strain on the grid, then the network of Powerwall batteries in your area will be dispatched to support the grid and help to prevent outages. It's important to note that the Powerwall 3 won't discharge below the specified backup reserve percentage, so your house will still be protected if there's a power cut during a VPP session. Homeowners with Powerwalls that are participating in VPP in markets like California and South Australia have earned up to £300 to £400 per year for being part of the VPP scheme. The Tesla Powerwall 3 warranty is one of its biggest selling points. Powerwall 3 comes with one of the most robust warranties in the residential battery market, and it reflects Tesla's confidence in the longevity and durability of their latest battery system. The warranty is simply 80% retained capacity after 10 years with unlimited cycles. This means that you're guaranteed at least 10.8 kilowatt hours of usable storage capacity after 10 years. Unlimited cycles is another big reflection of confidence in the battery. Most battery manufacturers specify a cycle limit in their warranty, for example 3,000 cycles or 10 years, or 30 megawatt hours throughput or 10 years, whichever comes first. But Tesla doesn't do that. With Powerwall 3, the warranty lasts for 10 years no matter how many times you charge the battery. You could charge and discharge it fully once, twice, or even more times per day, and it would still be covered, as long as you don't exceed normal operating limits. This is certainly beneficial for those looking to take advantage of the off-peak to export rate arbitrage situation and cycle the battery multiple times a day. If you're just regularly using the battery and controlling it via the Tesla app or the API, then that's within normal operating limits, even if you're cycling the battery quite frequently. The Powerwall 3 warranty will be restricted if the Powerwall is disconnected from the internet for an extended period of time. This is because the Powerwall needs to be connected to the internet so that Tesla can monitor the system's health and performance, as well as push firmware updates and verify that the system is being used within normal operating conditions. According to the Tesla warranty, an extended period of time counts as 30 consecutive days or more, at which point Tesla may consider the lack of internet connection to be a breach of warranty. If a fault occurs during a period where the system was offline, Tesla may not be obliged to cover the issue under warranty. I don't think that you need to worry about internet connection voiding the warranty, unless maybe if you plan to move the battery from one house to another for whatever reason, and it is therefore left decommissioned and not connected to the internet for more than 30 days before being reconnected. If you're just using the Powerwall normally and your Wi-Fi connection does drop for whatever reason, then the 30-day clock is not going to start ticking because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Powerwall does have a 4G or LTE cellular connection as a backup. GivEnergy installs well over 200 Powerwalls a year, and we've been installing them since the release of Powerwall 1 in 2015. The product is incredibly reliable. However, on the occasion where there has been an issue, Tesla don't beat around the bush. They don't try to fight the claim. They just log in remotely, see that something has gone wrong, and then issue a replacement, which is usually in our warehouse within 2 weeks. So if something does go wrong, you can rest assured that you're not going to have to fight to get the unit replaced. Tesla will just swap it out for free. The new unit that is issued won't come with a new 10-year warranty. The warranty on the new battery will only last until the end of the first unit's warranty period. So Tesla Powerwall 3, is it worth looking at for your home battery system? I would say so. It's probably the most comprehensive battery system on the market, and it ticks pretty much every box. If you'd like to see how Powerwall 3 compares to other battery systems, please take a look at our battery storage comparison videos. We have videos comparing Powerwall 3 to systems like the Sigenergy Store, GivEnergy All-in-One, and GivEnergy Hybrid All-in-One. We're also going to be comparing it to other battery systems such as the Fox ESS and Duracell Dura 5 systems soon. If you'd like a quote for Powerwall 3, either installed standalone or alongside a solar install, please do get in touch with GivEnergy and we'll provide you with a free design, quotation and technical advice.